Ever since her introduction back in Volume 2, Raven Bronwyn has remained one of the most badass characters we have seen in the RWBY series so far. With the way her character is designed, the powers that she displayed, not to mention the way she was introduced into the series, Neo, who had quite literally just wiped the floor and ceiling with Yang, ran immediately upon seeing Raven. Raven just showed up, Neo did not try to engage or anything, looked terrified, and just ran away. Then finding out that she was Yang's mother, and also the little scene at the end of Volume 2 where Raven appeared in front of Yang in what seemed like a dream and said they needed to talk. So much intrigue was generated around Raven, she became a fan favorite. And then it took 2.5 to 3 years for us to see more of her within the series. But luckily Volume 5 did center quite a bit around Raven. We got the reunion of Yang and Raven, seeing how they interacted, seeing more of Raven's personality, getting a little bit of a reveal how she connects to the story and Ozpin, little bit of Team Stark, and also more of her powers and abilities. The reveal that she is in fact the Spring Maiden and, you know, everything else that came along with that. But in Volume 6, we didn't even get so much as a mention, let alone a sighting of Raven at all throughout the volume. But I fully believe that in Volume 7 or 8, because I think Atlas is going to take at least 2 volumes, it deserves that much, Raven is going to return. In fact, I think it's necessary to the plot of RWBY that Raven returns in Atlas specifically. If we look at the way that Atlas is being set up, we have our main protagonists heading over to Atlas. You know, Team RWBY, Team Juniper, Oscar, Crow, and Maria all heading to Atlas, as well as Salem's faction heading over to Atlas as well. Salem, Watts, and Tyrion, not to mention Cinder and Neo as well, but right now they're kind of their own party. With Salem heading over, she's going to be easily identifiable. You know, the giant Grim lady with all the corruption around her would be a dead giveaway, not to mention she's going to be heading over with a giant bunch of flying Grim monkeys, so there's also that. No worries about misidentification there. Tyrion, you know, he's probably going to stick mostly to the shadows, but if anyone ever did see him, if they're not silenced, they would easily be able to recognize him as well. Crow and Team Ranger have fought him, not to mention Tyrion's, habit of maniacally laughing and general desire for causing mayhem would probably out him as a bad person right away. But then there's Watts. Who would be able to identify Watts? He doesn't stand out in any particular way. He would be able to blend in Atlas very well, being, I'm guessing, a native of Atlas, being an Atlesian scientist at one point. He was disgraced Atlesian scientist, so there's something there. And yes, there will be people in Atlas who would be able to recognize Watts, but only as an Atlesian scientist at some point, or as a member of Atlas in some capacity. No one would have any idea of his association with Salem. Same with RWBY's faction. You know, Team RWBY, Juniper, no one has encountered this man. No one has seen him, no one knows his association with Salem. Watts could literally show up in front of Team RWBY and everyone, greet them as they are entering Atlas, offer to give them a tour of the overall city, lure some of them away and stab them in the back. They would be none the wiser. That's not going to happen because Watts decides to, or prefers to, operate in the shadows and not get his hands dirty himself, but still, that's how little they know about the guy. Except there is one person who is associated with Ozpin's inner circle, or at least was at some point, that knows exactly who Watts is and his association with Salem. Raven. Watts went to Raven's camp personally with Cinder, Emerald, and Mercury to recruit Raven in the mission to get the Relic of Creation. Raven is the only person alive right now, at least that we know of, that has the ability to out Watts as a member of Salem's faction. It's necessary that Raven comes back to out Watts in terms of the RWBY plotline, because if Watts is able to go uncontested in Atlas, that no one knows that he's associated with Salem, he's going to be able to operate so freely that it's going to make most of the work that Team RWBY, that everyone is doing, a lot less effective. He's going to be able to get into Atlas research facilities, manipulate the machines, the dust factories, countless things Watts is going to be able to do. But if Raven can point him out as someone who is a member of Salem's inner circle, then that is going to hinder his progress and also, you know, make it so Atlas has a chance. I don't exactly know the precise way that Raven is going to come back to Atlas, obviously via her Kindred Link, which is the name of her semblance, by the way. It's not portal creation. Thanks to the RWBY the Official Companion, we know her semblance is now officially called Kindred Link, the ability of her to create portals to people she has a strong emotional connection to. I'm guessing it's going to be either to Yang or Crow initially that she creates that portal. Maybe Yang's going to be in danger again or something along those lines. I think it's more going to be that she is going to decide to rejoin the fight in some way against Salem of her own volition. Right now she's likely with Tai Yang. At the end of Volume 5 we saw that black feather fall in front of Tai, and I believe he called out Raven's name, so Raven went back to reunite with Tai Yang after, you know, having that little exchange with Yang and letting Yang go get the Relic of Creation, or Relic of Knowledge, sorry. And after that, Raven has probably done some reevaluating. If she went back and talked to Tai, I'm hoping that when Raven comes back, Tai will be with her, and we will get to see a reunion of Team Stark, which is one of the couple things that her reintroduction to the story would bring. With Team Stark reunited, not only would we hopefully get a reveal of Tai Yang's abilities and his semblance and things like that, we would also get to see, hopefully, Team Stark fight. Even if it's just a short fight sequence, seeing this veteran team of huntsmen and huntresses fight would be absolutely amazing. Not to mention that it might also prompt a flashback into Stark's past, and we see how they met maybe at Beacon, how they handled themselves as students, how they became members of Ozpin's inner circle. There's a lot that needs to be explored about Team Stark, and Raven's return along with Tai Yang would easily prompt that. Not to mention possibly an explanation of what happened to their leader, Summer Rose. So there's a lot that Raven's reintroduction could bring. Not to mention there's also one interaction that I really want to see. You know, since her semblance has the ability to give her allow her to create portals to people that she has a strong emotional connection with, there is one person that she did have a strong emotional connection with at some point in her past. Her current portals that we know of are to Yang, Tai, and Crow, but considering she trusted Ozpin so much in the past, I wouldn't be surprised if she had a portal to him as well. I think, of course, if she comes to Atlas, she's going to be going to Yang or Crow first, but I think it would be very quick for her to turn and say she wants to go talk to Ozpin, you know, re-talk with him, maybe after finding out more of the truth about the world, finding out what Ozpin was hiding from them if Crow and Yang decide to tell her. That would prompt her to go straight to Ozpin and talk to him about that. If she doesn't know about Ozpin's death and reincarnation, I want to see her go through that portal and come face to face with Oscar. That would be an amazing exchange to see. Just the look of surprise on Raven's face and having them have to work through that would be incredible. Now, there's one other thing that we need to find out in the series. Neo is also heading over to Atlas. Since Neo ran immediately upon seeing Raven, that leads me to believe that there's some connection between the two. Maybe Neo has encountered Raven in the past and knows what she's capable of, or something along those lines. It could also be possible that there's just like a little black book or a blacklist of hunters and huntresses that is released to the underworld or people associated with the underworld, that it just says, okay, shows their name, their picture, and says, this person is extremely dangerous. Run immediately upon seeing them. Similar to maybe Naruto and the list that they had of shinobi who, you know, are extremely dangerous. Run on sight. Similar to the yellow flash of the leaf. Things like that. I would love that if that was in the RWBY series, and I would love to know other people who might be on that list. But those are my ideas as for why Raven would return in Atlas, why I think it's necessary for her to return, you know, needs to out Watts, and also why she would return, things that might prompt her to return within the series, the reunion of Team Stark, explanation of Summer Rose, why Neo ran, things like that. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I'd be really interested to see what you guys think, if my ideas make sense, if there's anything else that you'd like to see from Raven. If she returns, do you think that she's going to return in Atlas? There's a lot of things for us to expect in the coming volumes, less than 2 weeks away now, so I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't and want to see more videos like this. I plan on keeping on doing more theories up until, you know, Volume 7 starts, long after Volume 7 starts as well, you know, so make sure to subscribe if you guys want to see more, and I'll see you guys in the next one.